So first, I want to talk about something that the ACLU of Idaho has brought forward at the beginning of this session, which was the Blueprint for Smart Justice. What all's in that?
So the Blueprint for Smart Justice was brought about through our campaign, Smart Justice, and the Urban Institute. And this is just a really comprehensive study that was done in terms of who's being incarcerated for how long and for what. And within the report, you will be able to see the data of all the state of prisons here in Idaho, but more than anything, it really has a huge menu of reforms, specifically on criminal justice, what the state can do to reduce the inflating prison population that we are seeing in the state.
So I know one of the issues that you've been working on was the Fair Chance Employment Act that passed the Senate just last week.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain a little bit how you were able to get that through the Senate and how you were able to get so many people to come up and testify for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're really grateful for that opportunity to advocate for the Fair Chance Employment. It actually was one of the recommendations we had within the Blueprint report, and really encouraged that Senator Buckner Webb took that project upon herself and to move it forward. And you know, as the ACLU, we definitely believe in mobilizing individuals, and so one of the things that we did was outreach to the community that's directly impacted by this, and having those individuals that are directly affected and them coming out and sharing their stories. And I think that was really what made the difference, right, of all those individuals willing to, you know, put themselves out there, share their experiences, share some of their, you know, a lot of their things that they are trying to overcome in terms of finding employment to find stability for their family. And I think that's what really resonated with a lot of lawmakers, those stories, and being able to see such a great support for this legislation.
How hard is that to find people to basically come out and tell the story about one of the biggest mistakes that they've made? Are people pretty open about that, wanting to reach out?
You know, I think it really depends on the person and their experience. A lot of folks are really frustrated with the system and they really want to let that be known, but other folks are, you know, kind of hiding away, don't want to expose themselves. And so I think, again, it depends on the person, but what we have seen is that we've opened a safe space for individuals to come into the State House or within our meetings outside of the State House and be able to organize and think creatively of how they can proactively support this legislation and other types of criminal justice issues that they care about.
So now that it's passed the Senate, it's moving on to the House. Do you expect to have the same success there?
You know, coming into the House, we know it's a bigger body, and so we have a lot more work on our hands. I think there may be some concerns in terms of, you know, government telling what employers should be doing, but I think in really what this legislation does, it provides an avenue for employers to view the individuals based on their skills. And I think bringing in more folks into the House side and sharing their experiences and really elevating why this legislation is important, I think may make a difference.
So what other criminal justice bills are you looking at that are in the legislature this year?
You know, we're monitoring a lot of legislation, and although we haven't been proactively engaging on them, you know, the ACLU definitely believes in bringing forth legislation that could reform the criminal justice system, particularly in, you know, reducing the prison rates and how, you know, how people are being imprisoned. So we definitely believe in not creating more penalties for individuals to be going into prison.
So over the years, the ACLU has sued the state on a variety of policies. Does that make it harder when you try to talk with lawmakers to get them to agree with you?
You know, it's building relationships with lawmakers. I think we may disagree on certain issues, but I think the beauty of the ACLU is that we can come together on issues that we both may potentially care about. You know, what we may think as where we stand as the ACLU, maybe where a lawmaker may stand on maybe a particular lawsuit may be different, but we definitely believe that we can come together in working on issues that they are interested in, particularly within our blueprint report. It really provides that avenue for lawmakers to see different kinds of reforms that we're suggesting, and they're not the only ones. There's definitely others aside from what we suggest in the blueprint report, but inviting lawmakers to take a look at that, and we're more than willing to sit down at the table and figure out how we can move those forward.
So lately, the ACLU's been testifying against a variety of bills, ranging from abortion to a bunch of transgender bills that have been brought forth this year. When does the ACLU decide to get involved in the pending legislation?
So within our legislative team, we definitely have our priorities, our issue priorities, and so we, along with our legal team, we do an analysis of what we should be able to engage in. And in all honesty, capacity, is a factor of us engaging. It's our policy director, Kathy Grismeyer, and myself as two lobbyists, and we have Richie Epic, who is our attorney, and so we do have some limited capacity, but we try to at least engage in things that we believe that may be unconstitutional or that may infringe somebody's rights.
So another issue that the ACLU has been working on for quite a while has been mandatory minimums and reform around that. We've seen legislation varying, but pretty much every year there's a new bill brought forward and gets stalled out at some point in the process. Going forward, do you see any success on reform in that issue?
We're willing to continue to have open conversations with whoever is interested in moving this forward. We understand that it could be a contentious bill for some folks, but as we continue to organize individuals that have been directly impacted by this issue, I think we will definitely try to move something forward that is comprehensive and that will, reduce individuals that are being incarcerated because of a drug traffic.
So we got time for just one more question. Wanted to ask, we're about a month away from the legislature sine die. What other ACLU priorities do you think are going to be able to be brought up this year? Or what do you have planned for the future?
Sure. So we're really hoping that the Fair Chance Employment Policy moves forward. That's definitely something that we have taken upon. We have been very proactive in counteracting some bills that we're trying to defend or oppose, but we definitely want to see in the future more mobilization from some of our folks within the criminal justice and continue to organize them and hopefully bring new legislation that really resonates with this community and that can help them.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.